Hi, thanks for joining me on Wilderness with Amani. For the first time, I'm at the North Fork of the Feather River, and I'm below the Rock Creek Dam, and I came here to fish the special regulation section between the Belden Bridge and the Cresta Powerhouse, which is downstream. I'm in between Quincy and Orville. And the one thing I got when I was driving out here, there are just miles upon miles of Feather River to fish, whether it's the Middle Fork or the North Fork. And between the special regulation section I'm in and then some of the other stretches that I am assuming fall under section 5.85, which opens up rivers in the off season to barbless, zero bag limit, artificial only, I should be able to get some good fishing in today. So this is just a scouting trip. It's already 9 in the morning, so it's up almost to 30 degrees now, which is nice because I hate fishing in the 20s. But it's cold, man. But we're gonna go see if we can get some fish. I'm fishing barbless marabou jigs, as usual. And we're gonna see what this river has to offer. The first thing I can tell you is the North Fork down here is way bigger than the Middle Fork I have several clips for between YouTube and Wilderness with Amani on Patreon. So we're gonna go see if the big river has big fish. That's what I'm looking for, so let's go. So the special regulations for this section are a little different than usual. It's in the special regulation guide, can be found around page 55, page 56 in the Fish and Wildlife Regulation Guide. It's open from the Saturday before Memorial Day till the last weekend in February or the end of February. As I always say, you never want to get your regulations from me or anybody online. You want to check the guide yourself, and if you don't have any questions, call. The area right here below Rock Creek Dam, this river doesn't look the best for what I like to do, but it's got the best access I've seen. There were some good spots with access up the river, but there's so much road construction going on right now. I just didn't want to hassle with pulling off and can I park here in between these work trucks, and they got a flagger up the road that's stopping traffic, so you know, it's just better to go here below Rock Creek Dam. There's actually a recreational turnout area where you can park. I'd love to get over where that white water's spilling in, but that is not going to happen because there's another river in between me and that. So I'm gonna get as close as I can. I want to get into the running water though, because marabou jigs in slow water, still stuff like this, typically aren't your best bet. At least they're not for me. So of course the dam looks really interesting underneath it, but this looks like as close as I can get on this side. And landing a fish here could be interesting. But I'm gonna make a few casts anyway and see, and just hopefully I don't end up in this ice cold river. When I first got out of the car, it felt like it might already be into the mid-30s. It said that was going to be around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And I think that what it said was right. Because this ain't no mid-30s, man. This is definitely low 20s still. Good. I came out of that whitewater. I'm right at the confluence of the main river. And I threw it into the fast water. It's a technique I use a lot where, there you go, I'll throw it into the fast water and then take it out into the slower stuff and they'll follow it out. Now, it's probably not even 30 degrees and I'm not happy about getting my hands wet to handle this fish, but I want to make sure this fish survives, so you gotta sacrifice the skin. It's a nice trout though. It's big enough where I don't mind. Hands are wet. Take a quick look at him. It's a beautiful fish. All his fins, beautiful gill plate. This slow stuff usually isn't very good for me, but I'm trying to slow it down and then speed it up in certain situations. See if there's anything hanging out. I'm hoping there's some access down here where the river gets a little faster. Otherwise, I got to get back in my car and drive. Which sucks because I don't know where I'm going. Which means I'm going to have to keep pulling over, looking, fighting down to the river, making 2 casts, turning around. So I'm hoping there's something down here. Probably going to have to just go find another area to fish, man. I mean, you need a backhoe to get through this stuff. I tried to get through one section. I can't even get through, so it might be highway time. Some accessible stuff over there. What you're seeing here is some serious scouting by a guy who has no idea where he's going. All right, so I was fishing right up there, and there's all those bushes you just can't get around. But down here, bushes can't grow so good on this concrete. So I'm gonna be able to make some casts. This water's not moving too quick. It's moving better down there. But I got some good casting lanes. So I'm just swimming my jig. There's boulders under the water. I'm just swimming my jig. And hopefully I run into something that's willing to ambush. Man, this is a great looking spot. I can't get any farther down without really going through some madness. But I'm surprised there's nothing here chasing. I haven't seen anything. I fished it deep, I fished it fast. And I'm just not picking anything up. Trying to hit these big river rocks, and this has cleared out a lot of the brush. There's brush, but it's not so thick that I can't get through it. This fish showed himself to me with my jig, and then he was gonna go for it. He's kind of small. So I put on a bobber and a barbless nymph. There he is with my freezing wet hand. Get him back in the water. So I threw my jig and I was fishing that far water across, sweeping it back around and bringing it back up through this slow stuff. And I saw him follow it, but he wasn't gonna hit it. I threw it a couple more times. So I put on this large pheasant tail bead head, which I have to use the larger ones because I got 6-pound monofilament, 6-pound test. Can't fit through the eyes of the smaller ones. And then I just moved my bobber up a ways and I just drifted, just like you're fly fishing with a strike indicator, same thing. And he didn't even hesitate to hit that. By the time the camera came on, I had already lost this little fish. But this, the bobber and the nymph is working, man. It's just the fish aren't very big that I'm producing with it. Certainly a really pretty river, man. It looks like I'm gonna be running into some tough going down there though, so I think I might have to get back up to the road. Right when I walked up, I saw a fish. He lives right behind this boulder right here. And he keeps coming up and sipping the surface. So I put on my bobber and my nymph. I'm gonna try to drift it back in and around that mess right there. Try to get it in with the fast water and then bring it back around and see if I can get him to come up and grab it. Where's he at? He's right in this little area. Come on, buddy. Let's go bobber down. Come on. There he goes. There he goes. There he is. Bobber down. Bobber down. Oh, sorry, I got a little rock on that guy. Nice trout though. Let this fish recoup in the net. You can see he's really firing along. And if you're new to fishing, if you want to let fish go and you don't want to hurt them, this calls for barbless hooks only. But when I fish in rivers, I don't keep fish. I just use barbless hooks in rivers and alpine lakes because I let everything go. You'll have a much more rewarding experience if you file off or remove your barbs the best you can. Because even this little beadhead nymph right here, if it had a barb on it, it could really tear the fish's mouth up. So if you're new to fishing, that's something you want to keep in mind. Let's take a look at this guy. It's windy and cold. So getting my hands wet on the bottom of this net is not ideal. So you wet your hands, you got your net, you let them rest in the net a little bit. Nice rainbow. North Fork of the Feather River. So if I had limited myself to just jigs, I would have got that first fish and that's it. And I've already hooked and lost several fish on the nymph. They seem to be into the nymphs. Running this thing through some deep channels, and I got my big boy jig fish on. It's really deep here, and I ran that thing down there. I don't know how much is current and how much is fish, but whatever this is, it's good. Oh, he's not that big. He's not that big, but he's nice. He got in that fast water. He was beating me in the fast water. It's a nice fish though. That's why I stick with jigs, man. These bigger fish will hit these jigs. Got him. That's a nice rainbow there. That's a fish of the day. Beautiful wild fish. I'm gonna let him rest in the net for a minute, and I'm gonna get my hands wet and I'm gonna show him to you, but that is a beautiful wild rainbow right there. So he's wrathing around in the net, he's ready to go. I'll get my hands wet, here comes the train. Perfect timing for the train. But this is a nice rainbow here. That was a fat wild rainbow right there. Beautiful fish, white tips on his fins, beautiful trout. Get him back in. Man, he shot back out there. So for that fish, it's really deep here. And the way I'm fishing is very hard to detect strikes. I'm casting diagonally upstream. I'm letting it sink for a good few seconds. And then I'm just popping it a little bit along the bottom. And I'm watching my line. Because a lot of times, like with that fish, I didn't even feel him. I saw my line shoot out really quick, and I just set the hook. I just shut my eyes and just, and he was there. And that's all I care, was he was there. So that's gonna wrap it up. It's only round 1, but I'm gonna drive up and maybe try to hit a spot in Portola in the Middle Fork of the Feather for Wilderness of the Monty at Patreon. I don't know if I'm gonna get anything. I'm only gonna have a couple hours to fish, but it's going to be 20-mile-an-hour winds, and it's going to be like 20 degrees tomorrow. And it's going to be raining and snowing, and if I want to fish, I'm going to have to drive way south. So I'm not sure about tomorrow. I'll get you something, Patreon, but I don't know. But that was a good first scout of the North Fork of the Feather River. I learned a couple of things today. It's bigger than I thought, and the access is a little spotty. I was able to find enough pools to fish. I was able to get some nice rainbows in the net. And I thought that last one was a lot bigger than it was. I hit him down deep on the diagonal downstream part of the cast. So he immediately shot down hard with the current. And I thought it was a lot bigger than it was. But it was still a really nice rainbow. I didn't get the big one in the net, and I lost a jig today, which made me mad. I hate losing any jigs. I have a bag of about 100 old jigs that have had bent hooks, and they're just beat up. But for some reason, I can't throw them away, even though I don't trust using them anymore, because once you bend the hook straight a couple times, I've had a hook snap on me on a really nice brown one day, and I've lost 2 fish that way. So once they get to a certain degree of being beat up, I throw them in this emergency jig bag, and it's so big now, I think I just got to throw it away and start over. But that was great. With the jigs, the bigger fish came, But I got that nice one on the bobber and a fly, and I got that clip on my Fishing Tips playlist to show you, you can catch fish that way. When you're fishing the bobber and a nymph, I'm using 6-pound test. So I can only use bigger nymphs because that 6-pound will only fit through the bigger nymphs. But it works. That was a beautiful wild rainbow, and he went right for it and didn't even hesitate on that thicker line. You think you need to put on like 2-pound test or something. I don't. I just tie it on there and see if it works. If it works, it works, and that time it did. That was great scouting in the North Fork of the Feather River. Thanks for joining me on Wilderness of the Monty. Until next time.